Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, you heard it, Anthony Edwards, after the game, in the presser, basically thought everything was a joke. That's what you got right here, folks. To me, this guy is another LeBron James. And to me, I think you can, in a way, compare this guy to a LeBron James. How LeBron James used to act after these games, right? Especially after these playoff losses, finals losses. We're talking about an early, young LeBron James in Cleveland the first time. The way he acted snooty when he lost in these playoff series, the way he went about his business, and he really didn't care, right? He really wasn't hungry like that, and put the blame on something. Either put the blame on somebody else, or it's really not that big a deal. And why it sucks for, a Minnesota fan is that they pay to see this guy put on a performance, win, and do the damn thing. And it's okay. Everybody doesn't win. That's just the way it is. But the attitude that this guy comes across with and has and expresses, it's just unfortunate, man. You can see this guy, I don't know, building a super team in the future, right? Just to get his championship. I think that's the only way it's really going to happen. Now, somebody like Joker and Giannis are exceptions to the rule, right? And to me, that's why I put Giannis and Joker over LeBron James in the all-time rankings, because Giannis was able to do this without a Hall of Fame teammate, and Joker was able to do it without a Hall of Fame teammate, at least win one. That kind of puts him up there in that category with Hakeem Olajuwon, no Hall of Fame teammate when he won that one championship. And I guess we can say, what's another guy that I was thinking about? I can't remember. Maybe I'll remember in a minute. But that puts Joker in that category and Giannis in that category with Hakeem Olajuwon. And I thought I said somebody else. I can't remember. Did somebody else win a championship without a Hall of Fame teammate? Let me know. But I guess we can put SGA up there too. Okay? We can put SGA up there as well. It's going to be tough, guys. To me, it's going to be tough to see any of his teammates make the Hall of Fame. And not that they're not good, and not that they can't become great. It's the fact that the way this era is going, the 2020s, is always funny business. It's always something suspicious going on. You know what I'm saying? We know about Chet Holmgren, his first year, mashed potatoes, right? He missed the whole season. Then he came into this season, missed a lot of this season. So it's going to be hard for me to, really, see this guy being able to stay healthy and keep doing it like that. I know they're deep, but the fact is, you're going to have these guys want money. That's how it always is, right? They took, a couple guys out of, the Nuggets after they won the championship because they wanted money, right? And that's what really hurt them last year. And so to me, until I can see it, I can actually say, because I've been seeing this, until I see OKC actually win another championship. If they win this year, I got to see them actually win another one before I can say they're not going to win another one, because that's been a trend in the 2020s. And on top of that, like I said, guys get hurt. Guys want money after a championship. That's why it's so hard in the NFL to keep winning a lot of championships and go back to back, because a lot of guys, they're hungry in the NFL. So, those guys want more money, and they end up getting more money somewhere else. And that's why, so we'll see. So this thing right here with Anthony Edwards, it won't be too long until he builds a super team, right? And okay, yes, he does need another guy, another Hall of Fame type of guy, right? With him. And like I said, Joker did it without one, and Giannis did it without one. So that puts him in like I said, just because of that, Anthony Edwards will never pass those guys. If I'm telling you I got LeBron James over, not LeBron James, I got Joker and Giannis over LeBron James because they won MVPs But with their championships, they actually did it right. They did it right. They did it right. They did it the right way. So I don't know what else to say. But we'll see what happens for Anthony Edwards. I mean, let me say this, and I'm going to say a couple things on here, like I always do, right? And the NBA has a, I don't know how to say this, right? What would be the words, the right words? Racial foreign relation. I don't know. But let's stop playing these games, NBA. And you know what I'm talking about. They're trying to put Americans as the face of the NBA. They're trying to put Americans as the face of the NBA. Well, let's talk about that real quick. Because they're trying to play people like they're dumb. That's what they're trying to do. And it's the reason why my channel don't get a lot of views and a lot of subs, because YouTube will shut that down fast because I don't conform with the norm, right? They basically want everybody talking about the same thing in the same way. Well, I would say it a different way, really. Because you can't really be saying it the same way as somebody else. You got to be saying the same thing, but in a different way. Okay? And basically, you got to be on your knees catering to what YouTube wants, right? You got to be catering to LeBron James and biblifying him and running back and tattling every time he says something, right? Or YouTube won't support you, right? Because LeBron James basically runs YouTube, right? So the more you keep his name in the spotlight, the more he wins, the more he eats, right? So that's just the way he done made it. I'm not trying to say people are doing that because they want to do it. No, that's the only way they're going to eat, okay? The NBA players with their podcast, you got to run back. And don't take this personal. Everybody does it. I even do it. I'm just saying. But in order for you to get your views, get your subs, and YouTube let you eat, you have to support these guys saying dumb things. That's just the way it is. And we're going to talk about this podcast thing in a minute. But the NBA has played a lot of people dumb for a long time, right? With this face of the league. So if we're talking about face of the league and they're trying to push Anthony Edwards, or they will be trying to push some other American guy, and we done heard all kind of dummies say it has to be an American face. What's American about America? This probably been, well, let me try to think of a date. Because I'm not a scripted robot like most of these guys' channels are, right? They're just AI generated deepfakes, right? So what I'm trying to say is the United States has more immigrants, like first generation, let's say first generation in immigrants, period, not even a generation, just came into the United States than ever before. You could say maybe the 1800s, 1700s, when a lot of immigrants were just coming to the Americas and they weren't even generational yet, right? And then we go through the 1900s, and then I think it started to settle down more, right? Once they started getting immigration laws, blah, blah, blah. And then you started really getting generational Americans. People who've been here, their family since the 1600s, 1700s. You know, you start to get those generational Americans. In other places too, in Americas in general. I ain't just trying, it could be in Haiti, it could be in Dominican Republic, it could be in Venezuela, it could be in Mexico. It could be, you know, wherever in Americas. But to me, the United States since 2000 has been, immigrants have been pouring into the United States like never before. Not like my parents seen, their parents seen, or their grandparents seen. Like I said, not since maybe the 1800s. And when I look around, all I see is immigrants in my city. Hell, I think I see more, you know, first generational immigrants and just, you know, immigrants that just got here, period, out in the workplace. And I'm not talking about in the office, I'm talking about like blue collar jobs. Immigrants are everywhere. People who can't speak English are everywhere in my city. I'm not bothered by that. And when we look at the NBA, it's full of international players. The rosters are full of international players. In 5 years, it's going to be weird to be American on an NBA roster, right? It's going to look like MLB, a Spanish league. So with that being said, I'm not too sure what the NBA is talking about, because the NBA has gone out their way to bring in all these international players. And they're not generating any more interest as far as viewership to the audience, to the people who watch on TV. When you see this with your own eyes, they're not pulling that type of viewership. So people aren't caring that much. And that's not really what I'm here to talk about. Okay? I'm not here to talk about their skills. I'm not here to talk about their ratings or nothing like that. That's a whole different video. But the facts remain that the league is full of international players, and it keeps stacking and piling in. The 5-6 best players in the league are international players. The last, 4 or 5 years. So what are we talking about? The NBA can't have an international face. It makes no sense what they're trying to say. You invited all these people in, but you don't want them to be the face? How does that sound? You brought in all these international players, but you don't want them to be the face of the league? How does that make any sense? And if you notice, most of the international players are very humble, whether they're white or they're black. They're very humble. Now, I could say except maybe for Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, I think he's trying to put on an act and trying to be cool and trying to be something he really isn't. And these are the type of things that the NBA really wants, right? They don't want somebody that's humble. They don't want somebody that's respectful. They want somebody that's going to be a clown. Because LeBron James has been nothing but a clown for 22 seasons, right? He's been nothing but a clown. Yes, he's a good player, but they want a clown act along with it. As long as you play their clown act, they will support you through thick and thin, through good or bad, and they will make the bad seem good, and all-time great at that. And they will let you do what you want to do, as long as they can get you to act like a clown. And to me, why they want Anthony Edwards to be the face of the NBA is because that fits their mold. They want the soap opera. They want the drama, right? And the international players just can't bring it. Look at MLB, right? MLB is, to me, one of the biggest jokes. I grew up watching baseball. I grew up playing it. My favorite sport. It's basically a joke, right? Since the 2010s, with all these international players who can't speak English and can't promote the game. And they're not even on the level of the black players that basically got exiled out of the game. But MLB wanted to get cheap labor in the Caribbean leagues through the farm teams, right? So they kicked them out. Just like when you look at some of these people in the blue-collar jobs, they're not better workers, right? They're just cheaper workers, so you can get more of them for cheap. So they're not better workers, they're just cheaper workers. Because when you ask people, well, how come whoever's paying them don't pay them overtime, insurance, workman's comp, and get paid by the hour? They'll look at you crazy, because they'll finally realize how stupid they sound when they say these people are better workers. But where's their pay? Okay, make them legal tomorrow. They're running out of the farm fields. They're running out of construction sites. They're running out of factories. They're running off the road work, construction sites. Tell them they're legal tomorrow and watch what happens. Pay them workman's comp, overtime, hourly wage, insurance, and watch all these people, especially Democrats. People who vote Democrat, they'll tell, well, I guess they don't have superpowers. They'll be doing just like Americans. Yep. They'll be working just like Americans. So the Spanish guys aren't better players than the players that played, in the 90s, the early 2000s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. They're not. They're cheaper labor. And to me, I think the whole NBA it's just a fraud. I think it's corrupt. I think not corrupt, but I don't think these guys are getting paid what we've been told they've been getting paid. Right? This is the weakest era of all time, the least watched era of all time, the least produced merch of all time, of any era. Everything. They play the laziest game of all time. But you're giving these guys the most money of all time? Yeah, right. And then when these guys retire, they got to sit on the desk. They got a podcast. They got to go coach. They got to do all these things, folks. They got to work like me and you after they retire making hundreds of millions of dollars. See, my thing is, I always think it's funny, right? Because we always dream of hitting the lottery, Oh, man, I would never work again, man. I tell my boss to kiss my ass. All this stuff that we always say, right? We would never work again. I got $100 million. Just give me 20 million, man. I'll be okay. Well, for some reason, these guys, they hit the lottery. These NBA players did hit the lottery, folks. They do make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million a year in $100 million contracts, $200 million contracts, $300 million contracts, but yet they still have to go work and get a job after they retire, like you and me. Ain't that? Oh boy, what a shattered lottery dream. Wow. Okay. It just, one day the people will wake up. They will wake up. But yeah, I don't think none of these guys make this kind of money. The NBA has to stay at a certain status. These teams have to stay at a certain status. So they have to tell the fans they're paying these guys this kind of money. Because if not, you can't charge this price for the merch, the popcorn, the alcohol, the parking, the food. All this stuff is outrageous. Right? So you got to keep the prices going up with the cost of living as far as, what it was last year and the year before. And do I believe these clubs are worth this kind of money? Yeah, I believe that. I don't believe these players get paid this kind of money. I just don't believe it. And it's just the things they show me why I can know that. See, I don't like believing stuff. That's not knowing. To me, I know because they show me stuff for me to know it. Now, am I trying to say they don't make millions? Yes, they make millions. That would be dumb. Yes, they make millions. But to me, it's just a club that they swear into, and they got to do certain things, say certain things, all this stuff. And that's just one of them. Yes, do they have to play up to a certain potential and talent and stuff like that to, be worth that? Of course. Because, of course, you got to show that to the fans. But again, their actions when they retired doesn't prove or doesn't justify what's been told, at least to me. I mean, you can be told what you want to be told. I don't. This is 2025. Everything's been debunked and everything's been ripped apart about life, about history, about science, about everything. Ain't nothing about it real. Even sometimes the news will tell us the truth. You know what I'm saying? We're like, whoa, the news told us? And then they'll go back and start telling lies again because, they do tell a little truth sometimes. Like I always say, you can always get some truth from a liar. You can always get some truth from a liar. So, when we get back to the SGA thing, why I don't think SGA should be the face of the NBA. Joker should be the face of the NBA. They have did a disservice to this guy. To me, that's kind of racial to me. I know it's hard for me to say that because people are going to flip out. But who the hell wins 3 MVPs and is the best player in their era and not the face of the league. How does that make any sense, folks? And then they have the nerve to put SGA, who had, I like SGA, I've been defending him. They had the nerve to try to put SGA over Joker as the face of the league, and especially Anthony Edwards. Wow. And I even heard Jason Tatum. And I'm just saying, you guys actually want me to take this NBA serious. As far as the stuff that they say, them telling the truth about injuries, all this stuff. You bring in all these international players. And I'm cool with it. If that's what you want to do. Bring in a whole bunch of guys that shoot threes, travel, carry, stuff like that. That's on you. But then you turn around and they're the best players in the league. And then you say, no, I don't want them as the face of my. You got an international league, dummy. You got an international league. What do you mean you don't want them to face of the league? The league isn't American no more. It's an international league. That would be like the MLB saying, oh, no, we don't want no international players being the face of the league. What? But the league is 95% international. You can't sell it. So it don't matter who the hell you put as the face of the league. LeBron James has been the face of the league since the 2010s, and the damn league ain't been selling. And people have been leaving, actually, and bailing out. They don't like the guy. So what are we talking about? I'm confused. Maybe you guys can brush me up on it. I'm just saying, man, a lot of this stuff don't make no sense. And truthfully, I'm not surprised that none of these guys probably want to be the face. The SGAs and the Jokers and the Greek Freaks. And look at the NBA media. It's a bunch of tricks. They're a bunch of tricks, and they've been tricked. Right? They've been tricked by Unclutch Sports. So you have a media, what do we call it? Can't remember the damn name right now. But you have this agency running the NBA, running the NBA media. So this really ain't even a real sports league, right? You have Clutch Sports running the NBA media. Wow. Hey, don't be surprised. It's coming. It's coming. LeBron James will say something or do something stupid during the NBA Finals. It never misses. It never stops. Always in the NBA Finals. It's coming. It's coming. He does it every NBA Finals. It has to be about him. Okay? It has to be about him or the Lakers, right? I heard the other day, Luka Doncic is skinny now. It has to be about the Lakers, folks. They're going to take away from everything the SGA has been doing and poop on it. Watch what happens. So I'm just saying, get ready. Get ready. It's coming. Yeah, so I heard 2 Raw for TV, and I heard Sports and Fitness Rants. They was talking about what somebody said on the podcast. I really forget now. I think I want to say 2 Raw said something about, and not in particular about what they talked about. I just want to talk about the podcast thing. But I think this was this guy who played Jeff Teague. Great player in who he used to play for. I want to say he played for Georgia Tech, if I ain't wrong. Man, he was so good, man. He used to kill my Duke team. I thought he was going to be so much better. He was okay. He always got injured and stuff like that. And I don't know, man. I thought he was just going to be better. Because he was that type of guy in college. And back then, the college was pretty decent. In the 2000s, the 2010s. But he said something stupid. And I don't want to get into it too far. If you want to go watch the video. He said something about LeBron James. What did he say? Oh, he said the Atlanta Hawks would sweep, that 2015 team would sweep OKC. this year's OKC would get swept by that 2015 Hawks team. But why would you say that, though? Why would you disrespect these guys like that? Can you at least, okay, if they won the championship or whatever, let them finish the NBA finals, and then you want to speak on, where they kind of land in NBA history, I can see that. But you're going to disrespect them right in the middle of, they just going to the finals? I mean, the nerve of these guys, man. Wow, it's just crazy. And then if you want to know, he said something about, did he say he would have won a championship if it wasn't for LeBron's greatness or something like? You mean LeBron James' super team? And if I'm not mistaken, LeBron James came in there, he only had the number 1 seed one time. And if I ain't mistaken, he came in there and cleaned up every time he beat him. And I think he beat him bad. I want to say 15. I have to go back and look, but I just remember them beating them all these times when they played Atlanta. I want to say Atlanta had a better record a couple times. What else? And then the thing with sports and fitness, what was he talking about? Somebody else on our podcast, I can't remember, but you had to go check that out. What he was on some other food podcast. I might think about it. I might remember in a minute. But the whole thing about what they were saying, it ain't that ain't what really bothered me. The fact is, when I was telling you guys a long time ago, and it's really been confirmed now, if you go look it up, Deep Fake AI podcast. And I told you guys a long time ago, I said all these sports players, all these NBA players, especially Mind the Game podcast, that's nothing but a deep fake AI. They're not even there. JJ Redick was never there, and LeBron James was never there. And he's not there on this podcast. The Up in Smoke, the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. And I'm not just trying to limit, certain people, but I'm just saying all of them are fake. They're AI generated, and you can do the same thing too. And this one just came out, I think, like this year, that you can do voice and video. But what I was trying to tell you guys is they've been had this for these guys. These guys are millionaires. So you guys got to understand the type of technology that they were able to get before us. The Hollywood type of stuff, the stuff that, ESPN and, Fox Sports does. They're not really there. You guys believe Chris Broussard and Nick Wright and all these people be at that desk? Nope. Or Molly Karam and Stephen A. Smith and, all these dummies that be on First Take? Nope. Or, Undisputed or, Skip's podcast. This is all fake, folks. It's all computer generated. These people are not there. And what's so crazy is, like I said, you can do it too. You can make your own podcast, AI generated and deep fake. Yep. All you need is a face, which would be your face, and a script. So they use your face, the AI uses your face, and you write in the script that you want to be said. That's it. That's all it is. And Hollywood's been having this for like decades. The news has been having it for decades. And tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie. I caught these people doing deep fake. You just gotta know what you're looking for, man. Once you know what's going on, you just grow accustomed to what's real and what's fake when you're dealing with this AI and deep fake and stuff like that. But I even caught the NBA doing AI deep fake pressers. They even do AI deep fake pressers. This is crazy. Yep. AI deep fake pressers. And what got me was one time I see Anthony Edwards, I was like, how's this dude's hair different already than when he was just playing on the court? And then I looked at his face, I was like, this ain't the same face as Anthony Davis, that was just on the court. Yes, it was Anthony Davis, but it's not the same face, the same hair, nothing. So you guys got to remember, these people have been having this forever. We can go back to the decision. We can go back to LeBron James pressers. And it might seem like so crazy that, man, they couldn't do this, man. What about all the press people? What about them? They're all in it too. They're all in it too. And it's easy to do it this way because people just use your image. And, that's it. So, yeah, but that's what I'm trying to tell people a long time ago. All these podcasts by these NBA players, because I was thinking too, I'm like, well, how can they play basketball, work on their game, do all this stuff, and it be acceptable by the coaches, by the owners. How would that be acceptable if they're podcasting all the time? Now you see why. They're never there. So, that's why you see a lot of times these guys try to put on this act, right? These NBA players, they're cussing and N-word this and, well, let's just say they act like they're from the streets. And they're really not. Most of these guys that play basketball in the 210s, these dudes come from AAU, suburbia. They come from suburbia. They ain't come from no hood. They didn't come from no hard times. And they played AAU suburbia ball. But just like today with the Anthony Edwards and the Ja Morants, they got to put on this show that if you're black, you're obligated to act like a fool. My mother always said, act your age, not your color. When we would go out, she'd say, act your age, not your color. And we was like, what? And, you eventually knew what that meant. Because at that time, that was the 80s. That's when everything started, the end of the 80s, everything started going crazy. You had gangster rap, and all these things like that. So, a lot of things in the black community start going real crazy. And I remember in Chicago, you would have to fight every day you get out of school. It just got to the point to where you didn't even why are we fighting? Because we're black. I get this. I mean, it was crazy because this is the message that was in the music, and then this is the message that eventually came from the TV. So getting back to these podcast phonies and these studio gangsters, these Ja Morant type of dudes, and you see them on their podcast, and they're trying to give you this image of who they really are, or a fake image of who they are. This is coming from the podcast, the AI deepfake, as far as them putting on a character, because they're really not like that. They didn't grow up like that. N-word, just acting like they from the streets, acting like they so dope, acting like they went to prison, acting like they was banging, acting like they went without, acting like they had to rob or do this stuff to get food, to get money. I don't care what Negro got a podcast, this is what they acting. I'm talking about these NBA players. They're frauds. I'm trying to tell you, man, these dudes is frauds. And now you got Anthony Edwards with this snooty attitude like he grew up in the hood. And I'm going to tell you, I was born in the damn projects. And I grew up all through the 80s, all through the 90s, until now. And I'm going to let you know, there is very little hood left. It's been gentrified by white people, immigrants. That's what the city, where the hood used to be. It's been gentrified. All that hood stuff that dudes really went through in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, it's over. It's over. So when you see these suburbia black kids trying to push this image, it's the weakest and wackiest thing you ever seen in your life. If you could bring these suburbia, look, I say this a lot because this is what I see. More black kids grow up in suburbia today, and you can say the past 10 years than ever before. It was foreign for black kids to grow up in suburbia back in the day. That was foreign. That's why when you see these dudes like Ja Morant, you see these dudes like Anthony Edwards, and the rest of these fools that act like they some, gangster and that grew up all tough and without and all this stuff. Get the fuck. I'm trying to tell you, man. There's dudes locked up in jail today from 88, from 89, from 87, from 91, from 95 to 2005. That ain't never getting out. That was really banging. That was in the streets. That was shooting. That was selling drugs. That was stealing. That was killing. You got dudes still locked up today from back then that might get out today, might get out 10 years from now, might get out 40 years from now, or never get the hell out. And when they committed these crimes, they wasn't living in suburbia. They neighbors, they neighborhoods wasn't gentrified. They didn't have a daddy. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have no good Christmases. They didn't have a nice car. They didn't go to a suburban, elementary, middle, or high school like that. All that just disturbs me, man. It really does. All the stuff that I done seen. And then you got the nerve of these suburban black kids to act like they're tough. Get the hell out of here. And you got the nerve of these, professional black kids or black people, period, to be pushing how hard and tough they is. Like they grew up in the 90s or the 80s or the early 2000s. You can't tell me none of these dudes is tough. The Jeff Teagues, the Zach Randolphs, none of these dudes. I ain't saying they soft, but all these dudes is AAAU suburbia. You can act tough all you want in suburbia, but it ain't too tough to me. It ain't the toughness that I seen. I don't remember nobody banging up in suburbia and people starving and getting government cheese and don't know where they're going to get their next meal and rolling around in hoopties and going to hood schools and then shootouts and all this stuff. I remember that in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. So save the nonsense. We seen some real ish back in the day. And all black people should be offended when they see these studio gangster suburban black kids. Because it's a joke. You're promoting something that you don't have to be. You're promoting something onto these children that grow up in suburbia that they don't have to be. There's no reason to be. And that's what these new rappers are today. They ain't from no damn hood. I'm just saying, man. So yeah, this is what these are, and that's why I was wondering. I was like, well, how they doing these podcasts? Ain't nobody saying nothing about it in the NBA. Not the owner, not the coach, because they're not there, folks. It's all fake. And good for them if they can do it. They're rich. I'm not hating on it. They're rich. They got money to do that, folks. And that's why I try to tell you, they got money to do this. And the purpose of doing it, to me, is because they never got paid the money we was told. And now this is easy money. Because for one, they're not there. For two, they can make money off of views. They can make money off of, advertisement on a channel. So that's where a lot of money is. You can sell merch on your channel and things like that. So it's easy money. But what I'm trying to tell you is they're not there. It don't matter if it's present players or old players. It's all fake. And if you don't believe me, just go press up. Go to YouTube. AI. What is it called? AI Deepfake Podcast. Or you can put AI Podcast. And they'll show you where to get the software. It's new to us. It's only like a year old or something like that. We've been able to get it. But they've been able to get it. Come on, man. Been able to get it for years. They're millionaires. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say they don't have, or they never got paid millions, but you got to remember, when you got that kind of money, you're living a status. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of your mama, your brother, your sister, your cousin. You got to live a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So they never got paid that kind of money. We were told hundreds of millions a year. On their contract, or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million a year. But they did get paid millions, but still they got to live a certain status. And so, okay, you do deepfake podcasts, and then you pay, because most of these dudes, they're not like real good with AI and technology and stuff like that. They just pay somebody. That's all they do. They pay somebody to write the script, and that's it. You just pay somebody off. Probably like I'm not even gonna mention no names because I don't want to get into that. But as far as the celebrities, basketball players who have these podcasts, and other people too. It just ain't the basketball players. Let's say Joe Rogan, all these people. This is the new stuff, guys. So I'm not gonna get too mad over what these guys say on their podcast, because for one, they're not even there. It's a fake podcast. So why would I get mad? For two, they gotta say these things because they got a channel. They gotta make money. For three, like I said, I kind of stop kind of getting mad because these guys ain't sticking up for themselves, right? These NBA players and the ex-players, they're just like get pooped on. and they don't say nothing. But we're supposed to protect them. So I guess we'll see what happens tonight. I think the Pacers win. And something's giving me a feeling the Pacers are going to win the finals. Something's kind of giving me that feeling. And I can't tell you why, any reason why, but it's just weird. It's weird. And to me, when you look at it, if they played each other, OKC and the Pacers, you got to understand too, it is a change of pace. For OKC to be playing the Pacers, they're deep. They really don't have any superstars. Yes, Halliburton is a star, but he's not a superstar yet. But they're deep. They can keep sending guys at you and stuff like that. So I just have a feeling. Maybe we'll talk about it if they win tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But I just got a feeling. Scap, eat a whole bunch of booty because you are looking dumber by the day. And watch his fans be like, oh man, look what you're saying, man. Look what you're saying. You're saying a bunch of dumb stuff. Well, I'm just unique, bro. Scap can't talk like me because that's all he can talk about is basketball. I'm unique. I can talk about what I want. I'm not monetized. And I choose to talk about what I want and not live off a script like some of these guys that are scared to get dinged. But remember, OKC got took to a game 7 by Denver. And because Joker didn't even show up and play in a worse way than Anthony Edwards did in game 5, this guy looks like an idiot because he continues to say everybody is better than Denver. But Minnesota only went to a game 5. See, what he will give you is the status on that team. Rudy Gobert, he's an all-star. He's a future Hall of Famer. Was Julius Randle a Hall of Famer? Because I could have sworn he said he was. I don't know if he was or wasn't. Who else is on that team? I want to say that's all I can remember. Unless Conley was an all-star like long time ago. Nevertheless, that Minnesota team only won 1 game. Denver went up on them 2-1 and pooped their pants. Well, I won't say pooped their pants because they took them to a game 7. But they could have took a 3-1 commanding lead. And I'm not even trying to say they had a win. What I'm trying to say is the only team to take them to a game 7, but Joker didn't show up. Now, we'll see what happens with the Pacers, whether they beat OKC or how many games they take OKC will determine how much of an idiot Scap really is. So let me go ahead and get off of here. He's probably doing AI too. I wouldn't doubt it. I can tell by some of his videos. And I'm not trying to say if there's anything wrong with it. That would be stupid to say there's something wrong with people who do AI. But what I'm trying to tell you is, as far as, these sports players, they've been having this. And they got the best AI technology. And they're not there. LeBron James won the game. Why does he do it? 1, because he doesn't have to be there. Somebody could just write the script and he don't have to be there. 2, he can make a lot of money. So when we talk about who was Shannon Sharp, never there on most of those. And don't think you can't do podcast. What would you call it? A podcast live. AI. Don't think that, because I know a lot of you people, oh man, why they be doing that when it's live? Don't be thinking that, folks. Don't be thinking that. They can do that too. All they need is a face and a voice. That don't mean they're there. It's another body with their face. Somebody else's body that they put a image in front of their body on the screen. Well, they put their body on another body on the screen. And as long as you don't move a lot, well, that's for us. I won't say that. I'm just saying they got stuff beyond belief. I've already seen how that works. So yes, they can do an AI live podcast. You gotta understand what this whole AI thing is, folks. The rich get richer and the dumb get dumber. How sophisticated is AI? AI, there ain't people behind. I mean, yes, there's people that work for YouTube, but the biggest workers that work for YouTube is AI. They can tell if you took, this is what's crazy. They can tell if you took somebody's clip and you can change it, move it, trying to do whatever you want to do, and you use it, they can say, oh no, this is copyright. They can tell. You can try to change it if you want. They already know. AI knows everything, man. You think it's people sit back and say, oh, this person copyright, let me see if this person copy. These ain't people. These is machines. Oh, did this person cuss? Did this person do it? No. This is AI. And AI is going to judge you to see if they want you to get views on your video. Yeah. Based on what you say, what you're telling, everything. If you're throwing up Freemason, hand gestures, all that stuff. They know it. It ain't somebody behind no damn desk and looking at your video. It's AI. They're the judge and the jury. So if you're not complying with them, with what everybody's saying, what everybody's doing, you can't eat. They're not gonna let you. They're not gonna let you eat. Which means you can't talk for yourself. Yeah, you can act like a character. You can act like a character. That's what AI wants. They want you to act like a character, but they want you to comply with what they want you to act, well, what they want you to say, just like everybody else. Now, it can sound like it's different. A lot of people can be saying pretty much saying the same stuff in a different way. People don't realize that. You can be saying the same damn thing, but people be saying it in different ways. So, but that's where this world's headed toward. Just AI and everything's fake on TV, on the screen. And it's been like that for a long time in Hollywood and the news and stuff like that. It's just the people on the bottom, they're getting hold of it, right? They're getting hold of it. So I won't really get mad with what LeBron James says on his podcast, because he's not there. He's not there to say nothing. And I was so smart when I first seen his podcast. And you got to know how deepfake goes. I was watching this stuff on YouTube or whatever like that. They were explaining how deepfake is used and, what it is, everything AI deepfake. And I'm looking at LeBron James' podcast and I'm like, why ain't nobody coming out on their videos and saying this dude is deepfake podcasting? You know why? Because they want to eat. They want to eat. Nobody wants to say nothing like that. Because they're all deep fake podcasts. The Kevin Garnett, what's his name? Steven Jackson, all these are deep fakes. Joe Rogan, you name them. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, you name them. The Jeff Teague, this guy, it's all fake, man. It's all deep fake. It's cool, ain't it? Cool that they ain't even. Let me get off of here, man. The world is like, sometimes I can't even believe we live in 2025 and the population is sleeping. Has went to sleep. I thought, let me say this. When I was starting to wake up in 2000 about the world, and it was so much stuff on the internet that was different back then. You can learn about life. You can learn about, everything. And now, I never thought that we'll be at this point. Not that there's not any good, real truth out there and stuff like that, but I'm just saying the stuff that people still say is just mind-boggling. That you would think even the children will be smarter today. But what I think it is, I think it's social media, TikTok, and, all this stuff that has made people just dumb. Dumber than ever. That they really don't care about nothing.